Hey everyone, it's time to get planty. I'm here with Candace Corson, who's going to share with us the healing power of plants as food and medicine. Dr. Corson received both her undergraduate degree and her medical degree from Yale University, completed her family medicine residency at University of Rochester in New York in 1979, and went to integrative medicine after studying nutritional therapy to help patients recover much better from chronic illnesses like asthma and autoimmune disorders. She and her husband, George, served as non-commissioned officers in the United States Public Health Service in rural North Carolina, and she is the National Health Educator on Nutrition and Health Recovery and Environmental Illness. Take it away, Candace.
Thank you so much, Bill. Hello, everyone, and I just love getting a chance to share with folks who are interested in health and well-being in our planet, because it all goes together. Love to share about the power of plants, the healing power of plants. You know, all of our oxygen on this planet that we breathe, it comes from one place, and that's the plant kingdom. They make all of our oxygen. The plants make all of our oxygen. Wow. Little kids love learning about that. They also make all of our food. And when I say all of our food, I mean all of it. Human chemistry is based on plant chemistry. Whether we eat plants, all exclusively plants and be vegan, or whether we eat a combination of plants and animals, all of those molecules come from the earth. You know that beautiful saying, earth to earth, dust to dust. It's spiritual, but it's also biological. They are one. And it is a very profound truth that we are earth to earth, dust to dust. So the plants are the only way that the molecules and the atoms of the earth can be translated into our bodies. So if we eat animals, they have to be made of the elements of the earth through the plant kingdom. And the more we deviate from eating and even giving our animals the things that they were meant to have, the more we have illness and sickness and huge expense and sadness, because there's a certain way that nature developed for us to build our bodies and get the building blocks that are originally from the earth, but that are from the plants. And of course we run on energy. We're made of energy, and that energy is sunlight. Again, we can't use it except we make vitamin D with it in our skin. That's important and wonderful. But the plants create the energy for us by using the energy of the sun, photosynthesis, which is quite magical. I've talked to scientists who know a great deal, and they say we still don't truly understand the complete depths of the majesty of photosynthesis. So I love mystery and magic, and all of those things are involved in the plant kingdom. So I want to share a little bit about what I love doing that people seem to really love. In the past 20 years, I've been sharing about the power of concentrated plant foods for human beings from pregnancy through all stages of life, pregnancy through very old age. And I love that because 20 years ago, as a practicing physician, family medicine, MD, and then going into integrative medicine, as Bill shared, I was seeing people getting sicker and sicker over and over, younger and younger. And I was discouraged at seeing that, really a tsunami of chronic illness. And everything shifted for me when my children's school decided that they needed to install vending machines in the school to fill a gap in what they could do for varsity sports. And so the vending machines came, and it's really a good thing that it happened, because all the kids stopped eating what little plant foods they had eaten. Their tastes changed quickly, like the first week. Pediatricians now call this metabolic programming. We are programmed metabolically through those wonderful, complex thousands of good germs in our gut to crave or want to have things that we are dealing with. And so as you are eating more things that are further from nature, more sugar, less plant foods, the germs change and they dictate what we eat. I didn't believe this when I first started learning about it, but it is true. And that whole ecology in our gut, we call that the microbiota, the little tiny good guys, or the microbiome, or kind of a whole ecology. So what happened is I observed my kids stop eating plant foods really quite completely that first week, along with their other classmates. And within 4 months, my 15-year-old son, who had been quite healthy all his life, developed exercise-induced asthma, which he had never had a trace of prior to that. And I was deeply humbled. I had heard about this idea of concentrating plant foods to add to people's rainbow of plants every day, to bridge that gap between the best we can do every day and where we really need to be in today's world to protect our bodies and to repair every day. I had heard about it 27 years ago, but I did not pay attention. I didn't see a need for concentrated produce. And these 8 years later, when this change happened in my life, I really paid attention. And what I found is this wonderful company, the Juice Plus company, is aligned with small farmers, supporting them, purchasing all of their produce if it's great quality, and it's a whole network of more than a quarter century of wonderful small farmers across the United States, Canada, some of the Scandinavian countries, growing 30 different species of vegetables, fruits, and berries, and they're usually single crop experts. So the cranberry bog farmers would be very exclusive to their expertise in cranberries, the blueberry farmers, the pomegranate farmers, the kale farmers in the Midwest, and this is put together and called Juice Plus. It's harvested at the peak of ripeness, not like what we have to purchase at the store. We need what's at the store in the grocery aisle, but this is far superior. So it's not instead of, but it's bridging that gap. So all the way ripened, all the whole complement of plant molecules, heirloom quality seeds, and wonderful farming practices, and then testing to ensure no herbicides, pesticides, heavy metals, radiation, yeast, mold, spores, bacteria. So very pure testing that goes beyond organic requirements. And that is called Juice Plus, dried powdered produce from these 30 species. And that is the fruits, the vegetables, the berries. And then this came along in recent years, plant-based omegas, which are really superior in my mind and my heart to using fish, because fish don't make omegas, they concentrate them from the base of their diet, which is the plants of the water, the waterways and the oceans. And they're all contaminated now, and the fish have to concentrate, therefore they have to concentrate the pesticides, dioxins, plastics, heavy metals. So the great companies that try so hard to purify that have to use heat to do that, and heat damages omegas and turns them into free radicals. They're oxidized lipid peroxides. So undesirable on many fronts. This is going directly to the source of the plants, crushing the algae, very pure grown, also seeds of land plants that have a good complement of omegas, and not fractionate them and not using any heat at all. Even in sealing the capsule, it's cold sealed. So you have a perfect balance from nature of omega-3, 5, 6, 7, and 9, the way nature designs. You're not just doing one thing, you're doing it the way we were meant to have it, and no fishy taste, and we really love it. So we're using these throughout our family, 4 generations, and we're so thankful. We've seen a lot of people happy with that. And I will finish off this part by just saying this is what makes whole foods so special. This is an apple with 250 of the plant molecules listed, but there are really over 10,000 plant molecules in one apple. And they're not there by accident. Nothing is junk. It's all there, and we need all of it. And this is why vitamins don't work when we fractionate them out. There are huge studies that ran over many years. The nurses' study, health study, the doctor's health study, many thousands of participants over years of time. And that's conclusive that multivitamins fragmented out from food do not reduce cancer, they do not reduce heart disease, they do not reduce degenerative problems, they do not cause human health. It needs to be the whole food. All those 10,000 in an apple, and then how many other thousands in the other rainbow. Next, I want to share with you my passion of my nonprofit work, which involves teaching people about Native American herbs that will grow happily in your garden here in this part of the country, in this part of our state. And we just have such a love for gardening, if it's a community garden or if it's your own, if you have enough land to do it yourself. All of the knowledge that I have is from multiple master herbalists over the years, but especially Jim Munich, my dear friend and colleague, who's a botanist in Lower Michigan and has written many books and done many videos. I was honored to be his medical editor for the first edition of his book called Medicinal Herbs of North America. It's a field guide from Pequot Press. And if you go to Amazon, you can see it right there. It's a wonderful book with illustrations of native uses of herbs from North America. And then my other teacher, one of the great friends and mentors of my lifetime, I met 30 years ago when I moved to Indiana, northern Indiana, and that is Patsy Clark from Rochester, Indiana. It just happened that she was teaching her very first class at Indiana University South Bend, a full credit hour course. She was invited to teach that course by the head of Women's Studies, and it was called Native Uses of Herbs. And I heard about it. I asked and begged actually to be in the class. It was already oversubscribed. They allowed me to audit, and that's developed one of the great friendships of my lifetime. So I really teach this class. It's my nonprofit give back. I've taught at many places, whether it was Ancilla College, St. Mary's College, public libraries, and now I'm going to be teaching it, a little mini version of it here, and I'll do some other ones on Facebook Live and Zoom, because I've had a lot of friends request that. And so it is in the honor of Jim Munich and Patsy Clark that I teach this class. So I wanted to share with you here some of the plants that I brought in from my garden. This plant, many of you will be familiar with the name. This is Echinacea, and it is one of the principal medicines of the Native American people. This is a flower that has left behind its seeds, which are really good for certain species of birds. They need it, and that's why I don't take all of the flowers. There's another one, and these will go back in my garden. I'm going to replant them after this. But if you check pictures of these are, you'll recognize it. They have pink purple petals that go out. It looks like a big purple or pink daisy, and the common name is purple coneflower, but the scientific name is Echinacea, which is from the Greek echina, which is like a porcupine. And these seeds are very sharp, so it's a proper name. So this is Echinacea. This is one of my favorite plants in the whole world, and this is yarrow, or yarrow, Y-A-R-R-O-W, the common name. The scientific name is Achillea millefolium, and it's named from Achillea. That name comes from the Greek for Achilles, because it has been used for wound care from time immemorial. There is a YouTube that a dear friend of mine made and put on YouTube. It's 8 minutes, all about the history of this and exactly how to make it. If you go to YouTube and just put my name, Dr. Corson, C-O-R-S-O-N, and yarrow, Y-A-R-R-O-W, it'll come right up. And I'm going to share a little bit with you on this. It's for wound care. And then this is one of my other favorite plants. This is broadleaf plantain. There's also a close cousin of it called narrowleaf plantain. These are the little seeds that were tiny flowers. This is thought of as a weed by many people, and they do terrible things to it, put poisons on it, and so forth. I highly recommend don't do that, because it's not good for you either. But this plant is the best medicine for bee stings, topical treatment. It is not satisfactory for a person having anaphylactic shock. They need a shot of adrenaline. That's a whole other category. But you know the pain. How many people have had a bee sting or watched their child crying with the pain of a bee sting, which lasts quite a while and can be very intense? This plant crushed and put on the bee sting is remarkable. You really cannot believe the effectiveness in decreasing the pain within 5 to 10 minutes until you experience it. But I don't want you to have to experience it. You might need to trust me on that and know where it is in your garden and in your yard or in your lawn. In our case, it's in our lawn. But the other thing so special about broadleaf plantain, it's a great food. You can eat it raw, you can eat it cooked. The entire plant is edible. It's got a nice taste, relatively mild, and it's loaded with minerals and bioflavonoids and good fiber, and it feeds those good germs just like all plants do. The good germs are vegan. We don't have to be strict vegan, all of us, but we need to feed a rainbow of plants to ourselves. That's where this comes from. And plants like this are more nutritious than just about anything you can get in the grocery aisle. So we have lots of this. My grandchildren know it. They know where to find it, to put it in salads, put it in spaghetti sauce, but they also know where to get it from if they need it for a bee sting. And then last, this is a native plant from Mexico that grows well in this area, non-invasive, very gentle plant called epazote. And epazote is used in all bean dishes in central Mexico. It takes away the gas problem. It's a really wonderful plant, and I save the seeds for friends. So that is what I wanted to share with you all tonight, and I so appreciate. We'll share a little bit more. Let me just finish with the plantain here about it. When you're using a plant for topical help, you need to crush the plant. You need to intentionally break open the cell wall of each cell. And you can do that with this plant 3 different ways, whatever's most expedient for you. First, you can chew it, because remember, this plant is a very good edible plant. If it's someone in your family or yourself, I'd recommend chewing it because it's fast, it's safe, and you've got the same microbiome you're going to share within your family, and then put that on the bee sting. And hold it in place. The more contact the plant materials have with the injury, which is an inflammatory injury due to toxins from the bee sting, the better off you'll be. And after it's held there a while, you can even get a Band-Aid if you have one, and put it on tightly and then go about your business. The other way is you can literally pinch with your fingernails, and that's what I would do for someone that's not in my family, and pinch, pinch, pinch until it's very watery and you've released those chemicals. It's pretty quick, plant chemicals. Do that. And then the third way is also fast. If you have a rock, either 2 rocks, or I've done this before in a county park, a rock in the sidewalk. It's your mortar and pestle. Just pound it really fast and put it on the bee sting. So it also works very well for the awful stings of stinging nettle. If you've had that, you know what I'm talking about. Those hurt a lot, but usually not as long as a bee sting. So that's broadleaf plantain. I'm going to say about echinacea, I make the medicine, the tinctures last about 4 years. I make that from the flowers, and I learned this from Jim Munich, not from digging up the roots. The flowers have everything you need. These are a little bit past, and I'm leaving these for the birds. The finches especially need these seeds, but you can make your echinacea tincture from the flower without digging up any roots and harming them. Fabulous for immune boost, and that's been studied extensively in Europe, and it does work. And then lastly, yarrow, my favorite. This is at least for human use, 65,000 years known human use. The plants, the seeds have been found in human habitation in Europe and dated to 60,000 years, and in Asia dated to 65,000 years. It's native to North America, it's native to Asia, and it's native to Europe. And this is the one for wounds. In the past, it was used, and you can still do this, fresh, raw, and crush, put it right in the wound. It does 3 things that are very important. It stops bleeding, basically all bleeding. If you have a gushing wound from an artery, that has to be helped. I think everybody knows that, I hope, from first aid. But other kinds of bleeding can get you in a lot of trouble. And this is something that the wound can be packed with if you're in an emergency setting, and get them the medical help. It's stopping bleeding, so that's called styptic property, stopping bleeding. The other thing it does is it takes down pain dramatically without being an anesthetic. It's not numbing. It reduces pain very markedly within about 5 to 10 minutes. Whether it's a burn, whether it is a laceration, whether it's an abrasion, and gouge, whatever it is, stitches, this is it. And what I do in our class is teach people how to use this fact, find the right stuff, grow it in your garden or community garden, lovingly and gratefully harvest it, the upper parts, and then dry that. It will last a long time away from sunlight, and then we cook that gently in olive oil and beeswax and make a salve. And that is extraordinary, and it's my best gift I can give any person. All my friends know I bring them yarrow as a gift, and it is such a joy to have it. It'll last over 10 years in the refrigerator because nothing wants to grow in it. So that has been my sampling of the herbs, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you have a very beautiful rest of your year. Thank you so much for letting me share.
Candace, thank you very, very much for being here and for sharing all your gifts with us. And you can find Candace at corsonwellness.net, and you can also check out our market partner page with all of our partners these 2 evenings, as well as all of their special offers for the next few nights. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.